Hello, and welcome to the Creative Alabama podcast. I'm Josh Hamilton. In 2020, I did a couple of interviews thinking I was going to launch this podcast and have a dozen or more episodes under my belt before 2021, but then there was the COVID-19 pandemic. I recorded this first episode with producer-director Adam Schwartz of It's a Southern Thing back in January of 2020, like a whole year ago. We talked about a lot of things, but mostly about filmmaking and how the viral sensation of It's a Southern Thing and So True Y'all first took shape. I hope you enjoy the first episode and check back for more. And without further delay, here's my interview with Adam Schwartz for the first episode of Creative Alabama. Hello.
Hi.
Today I have Adam Schwartz, producer, director, writer, filmmaker extraordinaire. You may know him from such things as So True Y'all and Literarily Wasted. I always get tongue-tied when I say that.
It's a hard one.
Hello, Adam.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the studio.
It's nice. Y'all should see what it looks like in here. He's got the professional carpet on the walls. We're in basically a soundproof booth right now. It's really plush. I don't know how he did it. It seems like he had pros come in and renovate this whole room.
None of that is true.
Must have cost a fortune.
Must have cost $5.
You did it all yourself?
I did.
That's very impressive.
With cardboard. All right, let's dive in, Adam.
Let's dive.
So this podcast is we're hoping just to talk to creative people about their creative process and like how they got started. So I'd like to ask you, Adam, when did you get started with filmmaking and how did you get so good at it?
Well, I don't know. When did I get started? A long time ago. I started making movies in high school just for fun, and they were not good. Let's not kid around. Let's not kid ourselves. These movies were terrible, but it was a chance to get out, get a camera, and get your friends and do something stupid. And I guess I got bit by the bug after that. We made a movie. It was really, really terrible. Again, I'm not even going to say the name of it because then I might look it up. But it was really terrible. And then we did it, and we were like, that was fun. We're never going to do it again. And then not even like a month later, we were like, hey, we should make another one. So we got bit by the bug, and we didn't know what we were doing. It was back in the days of high 8 cameras. And so, we're editing with like 2 camcorders linked to each other. The camcorder linked to a VHS or VCR linked to a weird mixer, and it was just the worst. It was the worst. And then I went to college at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. Yeah. And then I found out, hey, you could take classes for this. So I started taking classes, learned a little bit, and then learned enough to know that I didn't know enough. So instead of throwing myself out there, I went to graduate school and got an MFA in film production at the University of New Orleans. And then really, tried to hone the craft as much as I could in like a nice controlled environment. A lot of people say like, yeah, film school's not necessary. Just throw yourself out there. Just get out there and start doing it. But I was like, nah, I'm going to be in this nice controlled environment. I'm going to have people tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And then maybe I'll be ready.
Were you mostly doing it wrong then?
Oh, totally. Everything was wrong. I don't even know if I'm doing it right now.
So for those who might not know, give us a little background on what your full-time day job is and what it is you create.
Full-time day job, mainly creating comedy sketches for the internet. It's a show called So True Y'all on It's a Southern Thing. We do, generally, we release a sketch a week on Facebook and YouTube. And the sketches are try to make them about 3 minutes long, roughly. And that's what we do on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, is make comedy sketches. We also have a hand in the other programming that goes on in the comedy world on It's a Southern Thing, unscripted, big major player in It's a Southern Thing.
And if someone has not seen a video on It's a Southern Thing, tell us a little bit about what that is.
It's a Southern Thing is a lifestyle and culture brand centered around the South. And mostly humorous stories, fun things about the South. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, but it's at the same time we want to change the perception of the South. It's not Larry the Cable Guy and rednecks. It's more. It's culturally diverse. It's diverse in the people that you find here, and we like to demonstrate that through humor and through relatable content. That's what we do. Is that good?
That's great.
Pitch.
That's a great pitch.
You should watch it if you haven't.
So a little background. I know Mr. Adam Schwartz. He was one of my professors at the University of Alabama.
I was a professor. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can believe it because I was in your class.
You were there.
I was an older student, and I was one of his first. I was in one of his first classes.
You were in my first class.
And what was that class?
It was Advanced Television Production in the TCF department, which stands for Telecommunication and Film. It's not called that anymore. Now it's Journalism and Creative Media. But it was Advanced TV Production. You would think that it would come right after Intro to TV Production or Intermediate TV Production. There were neither of those things. Just had an Advanced TV Production class, and we made a TV pilot. It was a 22-minute TV pilot. Josh was the writer and producer of the pilot.
Associate producer. And full disclosure, Adam and I work for the same company. I am a producer in the daytime for This Is Alabama, one of Red Clay Media's other brands, smaller brands that focuses just on positive stories in the state of Alabama.
Hey, This Is Alabama launched It's a Southern Thing. Let's not forget that.
Never forget.
Never forget. Hashtag.
So one of the things I want to focus on in this podcast is sort of finding your creative voice, learning how to recognize creative inspiration. So give me a little bit of, what is your inspiration for continuing to be creative? How do you keep tapping the well to find ideas for It's a Southern Thing, So True Y'all, or anything outside of your day job?
I think you got to, for me, it's about, we make a lot of the same sort of jokes and references on It's a Southern Thing. And it's easy to say, oh gosh, another sweet tea joke, another biscuit joke, something like that. But it's also, for me, it's about testing myself creatively. Anytime we get to do a sketch where I get to flex a little bit, when I get to parody a style, like we did a Twilight Zone parody. And that was so much fun for me because I love the Twilight Zone. And I had the opportunity to try to create an episode of the Twilight Zone, like a 1960s episode. And I was like, I'm going to study it. I want to study it. I want to study the camera moves. I want to study the sound. I want to study how people act. I'm going to try to recreate that as much as possible. So anytime I get to flex any sort of creative or cinematic muscle or do something that I've never done before, that keeps me going. But I can't say that it's purely selfish. It's also about pleasing the audience, giving the audience something that they can resonate with and react positively to and find themselves in. I think a lot of what we do on It's a Southern Thing is people finding themselves in our videos. Anything that we can do that says, hey, this is me, or this is you, or this is us, is sort of our driving force. It's really easy to get burned out, especially doing it at the pace that we do it. So you got to find little things that reward you and remind you why you got into it in the first place, and think, I'm doing the thing that I wanted to do when I was in school. It's I don't want to go and be a PA on a film and just be getting coffee. It's this is not why I got into it. So I'm fortunate that I get to do the thing that I set out to do, and that I get to make things with a very small team. So everybody feels like they own it. I don't think you ever get over your imposter syndrome. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but no matter how society validates you as an artist or as a creative person, I feel like if you don't feel like you're faking it to some extent, you're not doing it right, then that's when the narcissism takes over. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just me talking through my insecurities. But
so I think that's interesting that you brought up imposter syndrome because, I've experienced that a lot. But at least in terms of what I do, I have kind of flipped that. I don't feel like I'm an imposter anymore because I've been making videos long enough to know that I know what I know. But I think if you approach it all with just humility and admitting that you don't know everything, and there's probably somebody who can fill in a gap for you or teach you something, as long as you approach it that way, I think you're going to keep learning. But I am familiar with the imposter syndrome.
Oh, it's real. I mean, when with It's a Southern Thing and So True Y'all, we've managed to get ourselves a bit of a fan base and people that recognize me in public, which is weird all the time. You know, we just did a Kickstarter where we raised some money to make a TV pilot, and somebody gave us $1,000 in their daughter's name. They wanted us to make, because in that level you get a special thank you video, and so they said, make the thank you video for my daughter. It's a Christmas present. She's a huge fan, so if you can make that video, I'm gonna give it to her on Christmas and show her the video. And it's us saying like, hey, you get to come eat with us. We're gonna have dinner together as part of your reward. And you're like, it's awesome, but at the same time you're like, why me? it's just me. Who cares? You know, that's where the imposter syndrome is still with me. Like, yeah, I know what I know. I can make a video.
But having someone approach you as if you're someone kind of special makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, or just like undeserving. It's like, what did I know me, and like I know what I do on a daily basis. It's like, man, I sat at my house and watched American Gladiators on Pluto TV for like 10 hours straight. People are fans of that, of me, this guy. I'm going to watch American Gladiators.
You think people would watch a live stream of you watching American Gladiators?
Well, there's one way to find out, isn't there? Let's take a poll.
So this podcast is about creative people in the state of Alabama. Let's talk a little bit about that. What do you think the state of creativity is here? I mean, what is it like to be a creator here in Alabama?
I don't know. I kind of don't want to tell anybody because I don't want people to be like, oh, I should go there and do the thing, because I think we got a really nice thing going. I think being a creator in this point in time in Alabama it's a good time for it. I think that creativity is exploding all over the place. I live in Birmingham. We live in Birmingham. That I don't know if it's safe to say the entire state or generalized, but Birmingham in particular has a very growing creative community. There's a lot of creatives who are able to express themselves of all ages, but I think that the young creative community is really coming into itself right now, especially as they embrace these new technologies, which make it so much easier to be that. We didn't have that when we were kids. So, it was a lot harder. So you kids with your iPhones and your vlogs, you're lucky. But Birmingham has a really growing art community, and you can see it in pretty much every area of creativity, in the visual arts, in like textiles, in there's film, graphic design, even commercials are the commercial houses are really, they're not just making generic commercial crap. It's like really creative, good stuff that's coming out of the Birmingham production houses. It's the people that are working there that are bringing that level of work. Where was I going with that?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'm just rambling. But like all the industries, we've got a big film festival that happens every year where all the people get together, and then that's when you really see like, wow, there's a lot of people that are into this here. And I don't think it was like that 10 years ago. You want me to keep going?
No.
I don't want to name drop because then they'll have to sponsor this podcast.
They're going to sponsor it anyway. No, they're not. Yeah, I think that's interesting points. The internet really opened things up, didn't it?
It's a big thing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have people that are getting followings just by taking pictures of things around town. Mm-hmm. And they have a big following. We have people who we work with somebody who was able to get a large TikTok following with our content, which is crazy. It's so easy to put something out there now, and it's easy to get an audience. 10 years ago, which just seems to be a benchmark for me, you could never dream of doing what I do, like doing what we do at all, like making these videos for Facebook and YouTube and having a career out of it.
Being paid full time to do this.
And getting the amount of eyeballs that you get. It used to be, if you can make a short film and play the festival circuit and maybe get seen by like 100 people if you're lucky. If your screening blog is not opposite the newest Jason Reitman film or whatever, maybe people will come to it, and maybe you'll make the circuit, and maybe somebody will notice you at one of these film festivals and give you an opportunity to make something else, not with your own money, which is always like the goal.
Right.
But now the amount of eyeballs that we get on our videos, even the videos that we say, it was fine. Like you get a 30,000 view video. That's a lot of people. Like, you make a short film 15 years ago and say 30,000 people saw it. That's amazing. Now we make a 30,000 view video and we're like, what did we do wrong?
And for those that might not know, what's an average general So True Y'all video? What's that getting in views?
It depends on what the algorithms are doing at the time. If we look at our YouTube channel, our highest YouTube video has over 4 million views. Our sketches generally will do around like 100,000 to 300,000 views on average on YouTube. Facebook, our highest viewed video is over 100 million views. It depends on how you want to define a view on Facebook. Is it a 3-second view? Is it a 10-second view? Mm-hmm. Is it a full view?
How many watched it to the end? What's your audience retention rate?
I have no idea. I have to deep dive into that. It's not going to be 100 million people, that's for sure. Probably like 20% of that.
Which is still a lot.
Still a lot.
Still a whole lot.
You see people sharing your video that it's like completely doesn't have anything to do with you. And it's bizarre. And then, used to be, I would make short films and be like, well, I hope it gets into this random film festival. And maybe maybe I'll meet somebody there and see what happens. Mm-hmm. I don't think that internet video has the same level of clout as those things. I think there's still sort of gatekeeping that happens on that level. And I think there's a lot of people trying to hold on to that are in positions where they can.
Right.
But the digital movement is going to happen sooner than later. And I think hopefully soon, you're already starting to see internet video getting taken a lot more seriously. It's creeping into the Emmys. It's creeping into like these major award shows. Mm-hmm. So, and then people that are successful on the internet, you can, launch into these more quote unquote legitimate platforms. Like people, somebody will have an internet show and next thing you know, they've got a show on True TV. Mm-hmm. There's like a feeder system now. So
like High Maintenance.
High Maintenance.
You remember High Maintenance started on Vimeo?
Yeah, I do remember that. Adam Ruins Everything was a College Humor show, or Adam Conover started on College Humor, and now he's on True TV, and he's doing good things.
Maybe you could speak more to this, but when people realized So True Y'all was coming, they were surprised to discover that So True Y'all was coming out of Alabama.
Yeah, somebody will recognize us walking around. They'll be like, "Oh, what are you doing here in Birmingham?" Like, well, I live here. Oh, what? You work here? It's like, yeah. All of our videos are filmed at my parents' house. Yeah, coming out of Alabama, it's interesting. We do southern related content, so it's got to come from somewhere in the South, ideally. But people in the industry, when they hear that we're making this stuff out of Alabama, I think it's mind blowing to them. People don't consider Alabama to be a place of high production. Every once in a while, I've been twice. I go to this TV festival now. It's called Catalyst. Used to be called ITV Fest, and there's a lot of people from New York and LA there. And so you're introducing yourself to people, and they're like, "Where are you from?" New York, LA, New York, and then Alabama. And they're like, "What? What are you doing here? Who are you?" It's kind of like a nice. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but to be the guy who says Alabama. Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice. I don't have to be in New York. I don't have to be in LA to do this stuff. And really, they don't either.
We'll be back for more Creative Alabama after this short break. And we're back with more of our interview with Adam Schwartz. Let's talk a little bit about creative insecurity.
Oh, that we could do a whole new podcast on that.
Yeah.
I'm super insecure.
Yeah? Tell me more.
I don't know. What do you want to know?
So I think a lot of times people have ideas and they don't ever act on them because they don't think anybody would care to see their ideas made into something real. And I think pretty much every creator goes through something like that at some point. But in your experience, how do you get the courage to get over that hump and just do it?
I don't know if I'm over that hump. I have to do it because it's my job, and I started doing it, and then people started liking it, so I kept doing it. But that's not good advice. Getting over that insecurity, specifically about, I don't know if people are going to care. Getting over that insecurity means not caring about that. And you see this, it's super cliche to say this, but there's truth to it in that, like, you see this in like YouTube Creator Academy and everybody's saying this stuff. It's like, you don't do it for you. I mean, don't do it for other people. Do it for you. Do something you're passionate about, and don't care about whether anybody else is going to care about it. Mm-hmm. You do something, you make it as good as you can, and you're doing it for yourself. It's something you would watch. It's something you would listen to. It's something you would play, whatever it is. It's an outlet for creativity. And, as creative people, we have those things that we just need to get out, or those passions that we have. And if you're doing it because you're worried that nobody's going to care about it, then you're never going to do anything. And it may be true that nobody's going to care about what you do. You just accept it. Nobody's going to care, and that's fine. But more likely, if you do it and you're passionate about it, and you're engaging about the subject, whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to find people that feel the same way. If you're doing a video series or podcast or whatever, there will be a community around what you do. If it has 4 people, that's fine. That's 4 people you can talk to about it. It's like our book club that we do, Literarily Wasted. It's not we don't have a huge following, but we have a decent sized following, and we have fans, and we have people that are interested in following along and reading the books with us. And that's really about creating a community of people. We're sort of the figureheads that are in the live discussions, but it's beyond us. We're just conduits for people to talk about books. And if we get 60 people on a live stream, that's a good day for that. Because then we got a nice book club going. We got people who are interested in reading the same books together and talking to people about books, and it's really nice. My wife loves it. She's like, she finally found people to talk to about books, and I'm reading with her. So plus, that's good because I don't read.
Now you do.
Now I do.
Tell us a little bit more about Literarily Wasted. What is that? How to get started?
Literarily Wasted is an online science fiction and fantasy book club. We're on Facebook and YouTube, primarily on Facebook because of the social aspects. All you have to do to be in it is just like us on one of those things. Follow us. Join our Facebook group. It's called the Literarily Wasted Lounge, where people just post whatever they want about books. It's very book-centric. Twice a month we have live discussions about the book that we're reading. It's a monthly thing, so we read a book a month. So at the halfway point of the month, we'll have a discussion about the halfway point of the book. We partner with Second and Charles to do the book club, so we host it there. All the live discussions are there. And they help us out with some marketing, and they provide some stuff that we can give away, which is nice. So it's like a book club, but you don't have to leave your house. You can do it in your pajamas.
Who is we?
It is me and my wife, Christy, and Talia Lynn, who you've seen maybe, hopefully, in So True Y'all videos, and her husband, Lucas. So 2 couples, and it's a lot of fun. Christy loves it. It was her idea. Got to give her the credit for the idea.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's rewind. Let's go back and talk a little bit more about So True Y'all and your team, and kind of what's the process of getting a sketch from your brain to the internet.
Okay. So True Y'all. We have a small team that works on these sketches from week to week. Small team that's getting a little bit bigger, but the core team is me. It's Matt Mitchell, who is our primary writer, and Luke Porter, who's a video producer, jack of all trades kind of guy. So it's the 3 of us as the core team. We've just introduced a couple of new writers who are contributing to So True Y'all, and they help out on set. That's Bonnie Gross and Mary Patterson Broom. And Liz Dial also contributes as well. She's in charge of the social media channels, primarily Instagram and TikTok. So that's the team. Talia is our lead actress. She's a big part of the team. That's the team. So the process, we have a big brainstorm session where we'll try to throw out ideas. If there's one that resonates with all of us as being super so true, we'll put that into the script phase. So we'll talk about it. We'll throw around bits, jokes. Usually Matt will take those and write it out into a script. We'll have a session where we workshop the script and try to pump it up, hopefully ending with a final shooting script. And then we go shoot it. Hopefully shooting takes the better part of a day. Maybe we'll have to break it up over a couple of days. And then we turn it around. We've been working mostly last year, especially on a week-to-week basis. So, writing Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, writing and pre-producing, shooting Thursday or Friday, editing Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, Monday, and then posting it on Tuesday, starting that all over again the next week. We had some show breaks last year. We were doing like 6 on, 2 off, 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And during those 2 weeks off, we would try to get ahead. And we would, for a little bit, we'd be like a sketch ahead, which is nice. And then we decide we want to do a big sketch, like the Law & Order SVU spoof that we did. And that'll take 2 weeks to do. And then we're back where we started, doing it week to week. So it's very intense. It's very stressful. A lot of anxiety. But I never have a slow day. So is that good? That's good, right?
I think it's great, Adam. You're doing great work.
Well, big credit out to the team. I can't do it by myself. That's for sure.
So how did a guy like you, a self-proclaimed nerd who's really into Star Trek,
Love Star Trek,
and like Ghostbusters,
love Ghostbusters,
and Legos? I don't know.
Love Legos.
Are you into Legos? I
Love
just
them.
assumed. How did someone who's really into sort of like, the quote unquote nerd culture,
Love it,
get involved with a Southern identity brand, and how are you good at it?
Fake it till you make it, right? I don't know. I've always lived in the South. I can't remember a time where I didn't. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, which probably not considered the South, but I only lived there for like a year. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember anything about it. And then we're in the South. So for me, I've always been in the South. Maybe my parents have more of a, mid-northern identity,
Mm-hmm.
Marylander identity. So, as they raise me, I see what they do, and then I get out in the world and I hear how people are talking, and I hear, what people are doing, and it doesn't stick out to me. It's normal to me. So, I think I was raised in the South just thinking that that's the way things are. So, I've lived here all my life. Even when I went to college, it's in Tuscaloosa in New Orleans. So still the South. Mm-hmm. But yes, I am a self-proclaimed nerd. Mm-hmm. I go to Dragon Con every year in Atlanta, and it's amazing.
Right.
How did I get involved in Southern comedy? Probably the job. I started working at Alabama Media Group in 2015, and it was the Wild West back then. They were just hiring a video team to do stuff for AL.com and those properties. And it was just like, all right, let's just make stuff and see what happens. Mm-hmm. This Is Alabama came along. You came along.
Oh.
And, started saying like, hey, let's try, we had SEC Shorts. Robert Clay was working on SEC Shorts and doing sketch comedy about football, and especially like Southeastern football. So the idea came up. It's like, well, let's just try doing like Southern sketch comedy and see if there's something we can do with that. I came up with the original concept for the videos. It was going to be called like A Guide to Being Southern. And the first video was going to be What Bless Your Heart Really Means, which was one of our first sketch comedy videos that we did for This Is Alabama. We made that one. and made another one called If GPS Navigation Was Southern, just based on like how people give directions down here, but we put it on like a GPS voice. And it was just going to be, we were going to brand it and everything's going to be called A Guide to Being Southern. But we didn't. We just posted them as sketches and had like a, a big old headline at the top. It said like, if GPS navigation was Southern, what bless your heart really means. And we posted them and they did really well. People really identified with them. And we realized that it was a bit of a Southern comedy it was a bit of an underserved thing going on. You have individuals doing things here and there, but there's not a lot of it. So we were able to get into a space that wasn't super saturated. If we were to do gaming or nerd culture, it's super saturated space. You're, small fish in a big pond when you start out. But doing Southern comedy, you're one of the few voices out there. So people are gonna, if they relate to it, they're gonna latch onto it. And so we started doing that.
And doing it well.
Doing it well. Started doing it, and people really watched them. They went viral, and so it became kind of this. Well, let's keep doing it, and so we did. We brought Matt on. It was a huge help because he had been writing comedy for a long time before on his parody Twitter account and writing freelance articles for AL.com for comedy. So bringing him on really helped expand sort of the Southern perspective.
So what advice do you have for any folks that are already living here who might want to get into that, film game?
Yeah, just get out there, start doing it. If you don't know what to do, somebody will be there to tell you. Say, hey, this would be a good place to start. Just do it. Positivity goes a long way. Positive. Believe in yourself. Believe. Yeah, it's easy to say when we have like a full-time job doing what we do, but if you have to start just doing it on weekends, there's really no excuse.
Everybody
Who was it that said was it Mark Duplass that just came out recently and said like there's no excuse for you to get together with your friends and make a movie on the weekends.
There's no excuse not to.
No excuse not to, right?
Well, everybody has to start somewhere. You just got to start.
Just do it.
Lots of cliche tidbits in there, right? But there's a reason some cliches are cliches because they're very true.
Listen, here's the real talk. You're going to make something and it's going to be terrible.
Yes. Just
accept it. And then you'll free yourself of the pressure to make something amazing all the time.
Right.
Just do it. Just start it. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be rough around the edges. Mm-hmm. It's not even going to get, 5 views on YouTube.
Right.
But if you stop there, well, then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to get your feet wet and you just got to keep doing it. There are people that have YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers, but they didn't get anywhere substantial for like 10 years. They just did what they love.
Yeah, use practice.
They did it on the weekends. They did it while they had day jobs. And now, 10 years later, they have a YouTube channel that can sustain them because they were doing something that they loved, not because they were doing something to make money or to get fans or to get people to want their autographs.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. I mean, it seems like in our sort of gig culture, there's a pressure to turn all of our hobbies into sort of a side gig.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that?
I think if you can do it, more power to you. There's an outlet for everybody, but if that's your goal, you're gonna burn out so much faster. Like if your goal is to be successful and to be self-sufficient and to make enough money to survive on the creative endeavor on YouTube or whatever, you're gonna find that it's not gonna happen as fast as you want or need it to, and you're gonna crash and burn mentally and emotionally. Making videos for the internet also comes with the toll of basically like putting yourself out there all the time. It's like, talk about that insecurity. Getting out there on social media and putting yourself out there comes at a price. And you can look at basically any YouTuber and probably find the video that they did where they talked about how they're burnt out and how they're like, they need to take a break for mental reasons. Because, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, they have to basically be on all the time. They make daily vlogs, or they're streaming video games for 10 hours a day, or like they're just they live in public, basically on camera. So, find the balance. Don't do it because you have to survive off of it. Do it because it's something you're passionate about. And then hopefully you can get to a point where it's happening. And you can say, don't put stuff on the internet because you want people to watch it. Of course you want people to watch it. That's why you're putting stuff on the internet.
Exactly.
But do it because you like doing it. And people will come eventually. And then and set realistic expectations for yourself.
Yeah, as you keep working and building, the more videos you make, the better your end product will be. And eventually you'll be good enough that someone might hire you to make something for them. And, that's cool.
That's cool. It might be 20 years down the road, but
hopefully it won't be 20 years.
Hopefully not. But look at that body of work you've built.
We're 45 minutes in here. I think that it might be a good time. We can sort of wind it down.
Okay.
Alabama.
Being
creative.
What a place.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
I mean, it has its problems, but, where does not have problems?
Right.
Where has not problems be?
But listen, Alabama, as a creative, great place to be. Not just saying that. Because, you can be anywhere and be creative. But Alabama, there's so many stories to be told. There's so many different types of people. You can come here and just get lost in like all of the things that Alabama has to offer. And because of the internet and because of the accessibility of technology to make things for the internet, you don't have to be in these places that have major rental houses. You can, for very cheap, make whatever you want. Polished videos with an iPhone 11 or, a DSLR camera.
Or an iPhone 8.
Or an iPhone 8.
You don't have to have
the
11.
But you can do whatever you want. And it's cheaper to live here, respectively, compared to like LA and New York.
Sure.
You can have a yard.
You can. I have one now.
It's nice.
All right, Adam. Thank you for spending some time with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Talking about your work, talking about your craft.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And maybe we'll have you back on some other time when you've done better work.
Well, we'll see about that.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
And that's our first episode of Creative Alabama. Thanks for listening. Tune in for the next episode where we speak with writer, novelist / bookstore owner Kristen Escondrian. Be sure to check us out on social media, our Instagram, Creative Alabama, and creativealabama.com. Thanks for listening.